Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nishay Taylor. Tonight, a 26-year-old Moorhead man is recovering at a Fargo hospital after the Stutsman County Sheriff's Office says he was shot while hunting. Sheriff Chad Kaiser says the man was with his friend, a 37-year-old man of Jamestown. They were out hunting for coyotes in Royal Jamestown around 11:30 p.m. last night. Authorities add sometime during the hunt, the 26-year-old was shot in the pelvic area by the other man. Sheriff Kaiser says at this time the incident appears to be accidental. The victim's condition remains unknown at this time, and the incident is still under investigation. Meanwhile, tonight, a woman is now fighting for her life after law enforcement say she was hit by a vehicle while walking. Minnesota State Patrol says the 41-year-old woman was walking on Highway 34 when she was hit by an unknown vehicle. When authorities arrived, the woman was laying in the middle of the road with serious injuries to her head. She was later airlifted to a hospital in Fargo for treatment. The crash remains under investigation. Well, we had some warmer temperatures for the last few days in the weekend. Shelby's here now to share details on what we can expect. I hear the teens are coming up. Shelby.
Those teens are definitely coming up, but right now we are still sitting in those 20s. Taking a look outside by our Dakota Magic Skycam, those winds are still breezy as they were pretty gusty with gusts up to 25 miles an hour. But right now they are just out of the northwest at just 9 miles an hour, with those temperatures still at 31 here in Fargo. Now those temperatures across the rest of the tri-state area are starting to decrease. We are starting to see a lot more 20s, with Langdon at 25 and Devils Lake at 26, but we still do have a couple of 30s, especially out in Lakes Country, where we have Fergus Falls at 34 and Detroit Lake still at 30 degrees. Now for the satellite and radar, we do have some clouds that will continue to make their way out of our neck of the woods, but I'll have your full hour-by-hour forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Nishay?
Okay, thank you, Shelby. Some travelers flying home today after the Thanksgiving holiday were faced with travel delays. As of mid-afternoon, FlightAware.com shows more than 2,300 flights were delayed across the country, and nearly 40 flights had been canceled. The greatest number of delays are from airports in Dallas and Houston, as some areas of the South are dealing with storms and severe weather. Well, here locally, as of this afternoon, there have been only four flights in and out of Hector International that were delayed, and up at Grand Forks and out west in Minot, only one flight each at those airports were delayed today. The Regional Airline Association says several airlines have stopped flying to smaller airports. This means a loss of about 34% of flight traffic within the past 3 years. Larger airports have also lost about 16% for passengers. This means higher fares, scheduling complications, more layovers, and longer drives to larger airports. Frontier Airlines, the low-cost carrier known for no-frills flights, have decided to cut customer service over the phone. In a policy that started last week, the airline says it has transitioned to fully digital communications. That means customers who need help can reach a live agent through Frontier's online chat tool, which is said to be available 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Recent mass shootings has many across the country still grieving the loss of lives. Deborah Alfarone has more on how these shootings are sparking renewed conversations around gun control.
Outside the Walmart in Chesapeake, Virginia, an emotional vigil for 16-year-old Fernando Chavez Barron, the youngest victim in Tuesday's mass shooting.
I was hoping everything was a dream until the day I wish he was here standing with me.
Friday, police released what amounts to a suicide note found on the shooter's phone. 31-year-old Andre Bing asked for God's forgiveness, railed against co-workers who he said spoke badly of him, and seemed to blame the shooting on the belief his phone was recently hacked. Authorities say Bing had no criminal history and legally purchased the 9mm handgun used in the attack. The mass shooting and another last Saturday at a gay nightclub in Colorado Springs have once again brought gun control to the forefront. Mass shootings have surpassed 600 for the third year in a row, and President Biden has indicated he may try to pass a ban on assault weapons during the lame duck session of Congress in December.
The idea we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick.
But with such a closely divided Senate, he would have to get buy-in from some Republicans.
What President Biden doesn't really understand is that the firearms he's trying to ban are the most popular rifles in America. He's really putting himself in a very difficult situation and his party in a very difficult situation.
Over the summer, the president signed a bill that expanded background checks and added restrictions as to who can purchase firearms. He also gave states incentives to pass new red flag laws.
Chevron gas stations in the U.S. could eventually have a new source of fuel oil from Venezuela. The Biden administration reached a humanitarian agreement allowing for oil production to resume. Venezuela will have a 6-month license to pump oil as long as it doesn't violate U.S. laws, engage in corruption, or abuse human rights. Chevron CEO Mike Wirth cautions that getting its Venezuelan oil fields back into production won't be instantaneous. The Treasury Department says it does not expect this to have an impact on international oil prices. Democratic lawmakers and farm groups are scrambling to overhaul an immigrant labor deal before the end of the year. The bill could provide a path to U.S. citizenship for 1 million farm workers, as well as create a more reliable labor force to farmers in need. The race to get it through Congress is on before Republicans take control of the House in January. The U.S. is banning the sale of communications equipment made by Chinese companies Huawei and ZTE, citing an unacceptable risk to national security. The FCC voted unanimously to adopt new rules that will block the importation or sale of certain technology products. The order applies to future authorizations of equipment, though the agency leaves open the possibility it could revoke previous authorizations. Huawei has since declined to comment. It's Small Business Saturday, and shoppers were out today supporting their favorite local shops. A recent survey finds that more people were likely to shop on Small Business Saturday. An estimated 63% of small retailers expect to see higher profits this holiday season. Small businesses were hoping this trend of a boost in sales will continue as they compete with retail giants like Amazon and Walmart.
Anytime you come and give your support by shopping or frequenting their establishments, you're helping a family make it through.
Well, online sales for Black Friday are expected to set a new record. Shoppers still lined up outside stores yesterday for Black Friday as an estimated 166 million shoppers crowded stores. But online sales have also soared. According to Adobe, which tracks sales on retailers' websites, online sales are expected to exceed $9 billion. Thanksgiving Day shopping was also a big day for retailers as shoppers spent more than $5 billion online, up nearly 3% over the last year. Are you getting in the holiday spirit? Later on Valley News Live at 10, some families are doing so by picking out the perfect Christmas tree.
And as you are traveling home after your holiday week, we are tracking the airports and the current conditions, but we have some snow in the forecast for tomorrow night, and I'll have your full hour-by-hour forecast coming up in just a few minutes.